Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is an action thriller from Denmark, Danish language, English subs, released in the year 2020, directed by Frederik Louis Hivet and Anders Alholm, and this film is called Enforcement. So Enforcement is set in a city that is besieged by violence. You have a police officer who arrested this North African immigrant by force, and the force was so harsh that he is now fighting for life in intensive care. And so this community has said that if this boy dies, they're going to kill a police officer in return. So the head of the police wants to try and calm down this situation. So he decides to send 2 police officers to do a patrol in this very poor community. So when they get into the community, things are very hostile, and the more that this boy's health deteriorates, the more chances of these 2 policemen becoming targets gets higher. And so as the situation starts to progress, there is a secret between these 2 police officers that will come out that will really complicate matters. And so what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Enforcement. Coming into this movie, I had a lot of hesitation. I was very skeptical because no one really talks about it, and it wouldn't be the first time that an uncovered sort of movie has come onto my radar that has really surprised me. Now, whether it's bad marketing or just unlucky to get out of people's attention, I was hoping that that was the case with Enforcement. When I saw the trailer, I thought, all right, well, this looks like the run-of-the-mill sort of Hollywood film, in that it's a movie that is depicting police brutality. Now, police brutality is a very relevant thing in society, especially the United States. But it is a universal problem where you've got police officers who are inflicting violence and police brutality upon minorities. And those minorities, they are shaped by stereotypes and how dangerous they can be. And giving a police officer the force with this mindset can be a catastrophic thing. And so this can really bring down not only the police force, but society in general. And so it's something that we definitely have to, keep an eye on and really discuss. And so it's never a bad thing to have a movie like this to actually showcase what is actually going on. And so I thought, all right, well, it does look very Hollywoody, and so I was hoping that it was going to be one of those uncovered gems. But after watching the film, I will say that I was really disappointed with this movie, not because it's a bad film. It's not the worst film going out there, but it should have been so much better, because the movie just doesn't know how to gel its 2 elements together. Now, one element is the character development. The character development of this film I thought was intriguing. It was very curious. It was a lot of grey area between these individuals, and they start to evolve as the movie goes on. And so it's never your first impressions. They're always shaping as the movie progresses. And I thought that was interesting. Even the community, the North African community, I thought there was a lot of sorrow and sympathy for them. And the police brutality, I thought this stereotype that some police have, I thought it's a very dangerous thing. But to actually paint all police under the same brush is, again, a very dangerous thing. Just like the police generalising the communities that they're supposed to serve, I thought, all right, this is a tinderbox. This is something that is waiting to boil over. And so the movie promises that tension that slowly engulfs the viewer in a point where it's on the edge of your seat. And so I thought that promise is what kept me watching. I thought the movie never really gets boring, which is something I really liked. And so the element of character development I thought was very good. And you've also got the element of the action set pieces. I thought the environment that this movie was set in was fantastic. It was a maze-like atmosphere. It was a very poor community. And so there was danger around every corner. And I never really felt as though there was a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now, what I mean by that, some movies you're constantly saying, just do this and you'll get away with it. And so because they're not choosing the right decisions, you don't really gravitate to their plight. You can disconnect yourself. But in this film, I thought they really covered those avenues in a way that, okay, I thought to myself, well, if help is coming, it's not going to come in time. So you never disconnect yourself on a reality base. And I thought that was really good. And there was some set pieces that I thought were really well choreographed. And that's basically the film. It's a very good looking film. I thought the acting was good. Some of the set pieces I said were good. It was a thrilling film, but unfortunately the biggest problem to Enforcement was the fact that it can't mold those 2 elements together in a way that I felt rewarded. I felt as though this is an incredibly disjointed film. So you've got character development that's interrupted by the action, and the fantastic action that is interrupted by the character development. And so it feels like the movie stops for a large period, and it allows you to regain your breath, especially as far as an action sense is concerned. You have a lot of action, a lot of choreography that keeps you on the edge of your seat. seat, but then it goes into the character development, and this is where you start to regain your composure and you start to say, oh, right, well, I've relieved myself of all that tension, and now I'm getting into these interesting characters. But then it goes back into action, and then you start to lose that sense of character development. And so it felt like two elements that were just bashing in against each other, wanting to gain access and gel together, but it just couldn't do it. So I felt as though the directors didn't know how to actually mold those two elements together. That would have made a fantastic movie, but in the end what it makes is a very forgettable experience, because I couldn't help but feel there was a strong sense of frustration. So it's not one of the Scandinavian movies that I was hoping for, an uncovered gem. It is definitely one of the more forgettable. It's a serviceable kind of film, but as I said, it is forgettable, and it's definitely a generic sort of experience. It's an experience that you've seen many, many times before, and so you ask yourself, why do I need to see this one? And unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for you there. I just don't feel as though you really need to see it. It's not the worst movie. If you come across it by accident, then it's a decent way to spend an hour and a half. But I wouldn't go out of my way, especially if you are a fan of Scandinavian film, because it just didn't feel as though it had that quality to actually make it up onto that top tier. But pushing that aside, if you like this kind of thing and you want a movie about police brutality, then this is serviceable, but it's definitely not going to make a shadow of its own. And so it's not a bad film, but then again, I couldn't help but feel very disappointed, because it had a lot of good ingredients in the recipe, but it just didn't amount to anything overly impressive. So overall, for enforcement, going to give this one 2.5 stars. Still go out there and see it, but just don't get your hopes up it's going to be anything great. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.